What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of No Worries' second album, Why Laud. Of course, No Worries, the duo, Anderson Paak and producer Knxwledge. This is their first album release since Yes Laud came out in October 2016, almost 8 years ago. And of course, since then, Anderson Paak, his status has continued to grow, really celebrated now at the Grammys, but really celebrated as a solo artist. His album Malibu, of course, a real masterpiece, one of my favorite albums of the last 10 years. And he's also, I think, thankfully, really justly been more commercial lately. 3 years ago, Silk Sonic with Bruno Mars really raising Anderson's profile. And Knxwledge, certainly not as famous as Anderson, but incredibly prolific LA producer with an eclectic sound, a really vast discography, working with all kinds of people, also doing his own solo work, his own mixing work as well. Shout out the Meek Mill series that's now defunct. I knew we would eventually get more No Worries. They've hinted at it over the years, and it's fun that we're finally here. And looking back on the past No Worries work, of course, Yes Lord, and then the year before, the Link Up and Suede EP, it's more, I think, lighter, fun music, those two projects, especially when you compare it to Anderson's other discography. It's definitely more carefree. And what's really interesting about No Worries' second album, Why Laud, this album represents a maturation of the lyrical subject matter, especially from Anderson Paak. This is the first album to come out since he has become divorced. This is about Anderson taking some L's and trying to fix those. That's usually not the subject matter of a lot of his music, which is usually a lot smoother, a lot more fun, right? The lyrics quite impress me in that regard. The beats, at times they sound a bit sparse, but they're quite involved, as expected from Knxwledge. There's a lot to these beats, kind of jump around a lot of genres, but the rap and B, R&B vibe that you expect from Anderson Paak, largely what we're doing here. And Anderson Paak, of course, he's never boring as a vocalist. His rasp, his nasally delivery really stands out, so he's able, I think, to elevate any kind of beat he's on. And ultimately, it's a very consistent and smooth listen, even if it's, I would say, less playful, less banger indebted than some of the early No Worries work, but it really feels like a progression and a maturation for this duo. I think that's what we would want, coming up on an 8-year wait between albums. So I found it pretty successful. I liked most of the songs on it. I also want to shout out Stone's Throw Records. This album actually came out 1 week ago on physical. Of course, now it's out on digital as well. Long album from the track list wise, 19 songs, a lot of interludes throughout this, a lot of short songs as well. So overall, I feel like it's pretty packed in here. 86 Centra, the first real song. This was the lead single and kind of the comeback announcement for No Worries here. 90 seconds, really no hook, just bars, kind of a sparse beat. Didn't wow me, but it was exciting as the announcement, what it meant more than anything. But it then features really excellent mixing transition from Knxwledge into the next song, Move On. Very smooth, great storytelling from Paak, kind of classic Anderson performance. Really like this song. Notable co-writers on this, Andre Day and BJ the Chicago Kid, that stood out to me. The next song, Keep Her, featuring Thundercat. Got Thundercat singing smooth as butter on this song. Some kind of fun, like acoustic kit work from Knxwledge. Love the flow switch up. Anderson's rapping kind of like laid back, but as the song might suggest, you understand what he's getting into. We're getting into the heavier stuff already. Really love the chorus, the money won't keep her part. Thundercat taking us out at the end. This song's really great. The next song, Distractions. Short, but I enjoyed like the guitar strumming. The song kind of picks back up at the end. Leads us into an interlude, leads us into a song with her, which I thought was just okay. The next song, Daydreaming, I liked quite a bit. The guitar line along with the snares and the guitar solo, pretty fun. From Here, the second single with Snoop Dogg, it's okay. Doesn't really wow me as much. I think this is where if the kind of sparseness, the mid-tempo-ness of this record would stand out. It's on songs like this where it's like, this just doesn't pop as much as it probably could have if they were trying to make different kind of music, But it makes sense that they're not making something super fun given what Anderson's singing and rapping about. Fall Through, I thought Anderson's singing was very silky on this. Some fun, playful lyrics as well. Enjoyed the drums, enjoyed the guitar, a lot more texture on this beat compared to some of the previous songs preceding it on the track list. Battlefield, like this one quite a bit. Might be my favorite song, at least from how it sounds. A lot of rapping on this. Chorus, kind of sped up flow from Andy. Big highlight for sure. Here I Am, kind of another heavy one. A lot of relationship storytelling lyrics from Anderson. Out the Way stood out to me for the Ray Kali feature. I thought she was very inspired, fun vocals. Of course, another smooth chorus from Anderson. Really enjoyed this one. She Used, I'd be curious to hear more like this in the future. It's basically Anderson Paak's take on like the baby voice, the pitched up baby voice we've come to know quite a bit in hip hop from people like Playboi Carti. Honestly, it kind of fits the vibe. Shout out NxWorries for making this song work, but it's pretty cool. Never remix featuring Charlie Wilson. It's short and like you barely use Charlie Wilson. I would have loved to hear more from him on this. Walk On By featuring Earl. You have kind of guitar in the background, drums in the foreground, another breezy chorus from Andy. And then Earl, it's just fun to hear him on a beat like this, given that, Earl type beat the last 5 years. It's been a certain cup of tea at the very least. It's fun to hear him a little bit out of the norm, even if he's rapping the way he usually has been rapping lately. I think it works. So yeah, like I mentioned Battlefield, but like overall, it's not an album where I think there's like a huge highlights on it. It's certainly not as fun to revisit as Yes Lord, let alone Anderson Paak's solo work. But I do think it's a pretty cohesive and coherent album. The lyrical message is very consistent throughout, and the maturation it's presenting in terms of what has happened in Anderson's personal life the last few years and him laying that out with the music here. I think it's pretty cool because it's a bit different from what he's done thus far. Of course, very much anticipating the next Anderson Paak solo album. The last one of those, Ventura, was way back in 2019. It's quietly been a long time. Of course, Silk Sonic and now this have come out, so he's hardly been away, but very much anticipating that when it comes out, maybe in 2 years, we'll say. But let me know, what did you think of NxWorries? Why Lord? What was your favorite song? What are you most looking to hear from Knxwledge or Anderson next? Let me know. And for more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.